mean, if you're in a relationship and the person is irritating you with something they've done, you might be highly motivated not to say anything about it because you want to keep the peace. You don't want to upset them. You don't want the conflict. That's all characteristic of high agreeableness. But once you decide to tell the truth, then if you're annoyed, you don't get to hide it. You don't get to assume you're right. You don't get to grab the person by the shirt collar and say, look, I'm annoyed and you're wrong.
So, what's Jordan saying? If you're high in agreeableness, you're less likely to want to fight. You're more likely to want to keep the peace. I'm telling you guys, if you don't call out bad behavior, it's going to get worse.
You get to say, I'm irritated about this situation, and I need to think through that irritation to find out if I have a problem or if you have a problem, or if we both have a problem, or if it's a different problem altogether. But you can't hide the fact that the problem has made itself manifest.
You know, and I've often thought that I've been fortunate in my marriage, because you think, well, you get married and you live happily ever after. It's like,
just listen to the audience laughing. Yeah, marriage is almost never a happy thing. It's a thing full of conflict and pain most of the time. Again, guys, I could not possibly recommend getting married in 2023 in this crappy culture. But if you do get married, it's going to be for the purpose of having children, having a family. So if you're getting married without that purpose, and if both of you are not aligned in this purpose, I don't know what to tell you. Like, that is the goal of marriage.
that's not it, is it? You don't want that even. You don't. What do you want? You want your partner to do just all she's going to do is sprinkle rose petals in front of you, right? And pat you on the back of the head and tell you how wonderful you are constantly, day after day. Man, you'd be so sick of that after well, maybe it'd take a month. But let's say 2 weeks. You'd be, because you know, she should be more on the side of who you could be than on the side of who you are.
I actually disagree with this. Again, if your wife is constantly nagging you about how you could and should be better, then she's not your wife, she's your parent. She's your boss. No. I actually disagree with this, Jordan. I think your wife should appreciate and respect who you are, and if she doesn't, then there's a huge problem. I actually disagree with what Jordan's saying here.
And if she's deluded enough or terrified enough to worship you in your current form, then, well, that doesn't say much for her, and it certainly isn't very helpful for you. You want someone that's going to get in the way now and then, you know, and to contend with. And I've been fortunate in my marriage because I have
someone to contend with, someone to argue with, someone to fight with. No, I actually disagree with this. This is just it's the recipe for just a lot of conflict. Hello and welcome to the heliosblog. My name is Helios, here for another reaction video. If you're new to the channel, liking the content, hit that sub, hit all for notifications. If you'd like to support me, I do have a Patreon with exclusive content, newly revamped, posting weekly content, patreon.com/theheliosblog. Just go there and subscribe. Again, it's patreon.com/theheliosblog. You can also drop me a donation, like Tom M here, link is in the description. Shout outs to him. Let's continue.
Someone to contend with, you know, we have our discussions, and they're not easy. Well, partly because we have hard problems to solve, because life is full of hard problems. I want someone who will stand up, you know, and have her say, even if it's not what I would say. And maybe I'm even willing at times, because she's quite intuitive and a good dreamer, and I'm more facile verbally. And so we have to be careful in our relationship, because if I'm in a particularly ornery mood and she has something to say, I can usually slice up her arguments verbally, you know, and that's fine as far as I'm concerned, because I get to win. But it's stupid. Well, it's stupid. It's, first of all, that doesn't mean I'm right. It just means I can formulate verbal arguments slightly faster than she can, but her intuitions and her dreams are often extraordinarily accurate.
Yeah, anyway, this is like, I think Jordan is just telling on himself. What he's saying is that his relationship is full of contention, full of argument, right? And the way that he shows that he's, you know, alpha or whatever is by breaking up the argument, you know, by being a good debater, effectively. And actually, it's very important to the stability of marriage that the man wins very frequently. It shows that he's a superior man. If he didn't do that, then, you know, if he didn't do that, then it wouldn't be a good relationship. She wouldn't respect him at all. Though, with the constant arguments and drama, I'll bet that there's not a lot of respect. Period. Okay, let's continue.
And so we've learned to some degree, to buttress each other's arguments just on the off chance that the person that you were foolish enough to marry might know something you don't now and then about something important, you know.
Right, and who claps? The women in the audience. Hands unite.
And so what do you want? Well, you want someone to contend with.
What does that mean? You want someone to fight with, someone who you're constantly arguing with, someone who, you know, tells you how you're not good enough and how, you know, you should be more of this and you should be more of that. I don't know about you, but like the Bible says, better to live on the corner of a roof than to live with a contentious woman. Like, it's literally in the Bible. So I don't know what you're saying, Jordan. Like, it's literally the Bible, even the ancient text that warns us about, you know, female nature. It's one of them. It's obviously not the only one, but like says that Jordan's wrong, right? Just because he's a smart guy doesn't mean he's not wrong about stuff. He's wrong about this.
Then it's an adventure, you know, and then you have someone that you love and that you respect. And that's not a bad combination for longevity of relationship. And then maybe if you have someone that you love and respect and that you...
If you have someone that you love and respect and can communicate with, then you don't have a contentious person. You don't have a person you're constantly fighting with. Again, a person that you respect, you can disagree with a person you respect, but you're not going to fight. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You can communicate with, and your children also love and respect her or him. And then that's pretty good for them because they've got some parents that they could love and respect. That's a good combination. You know, it solidifies their life. And so the issue is not so much the blindness of others, even though there's as much blindness among others as there is for you. But the issue here, the advice here, the description here is you should be concerned about what's interfering with your own vision first. And you should leave other people the hell alone in relationship to that. And so if your mode of being in the world is, if you would just act better, things would improve for me, or if you identify the evil and the catastrophe as something that's outside, that someone else needs to fix, or that someone else is responsible for, then you're not going to fix that. And you're going to remain blind to the things that you're doing and not doing that make things not go well. And so it's just better to think, all right, I'm probably blind in many, many ways. And maybe there are some ways that I could rectify that.
Right. Okay. So this one I do agree with, right? Like, you just have to acknowledge that it is possible for you to be wrong and it is possible for you to be contributing to the problem. No, this is absolutely true. For sure, right? There's no human on earth that is never wrong, that never makes mistakes. You know, of course, this is doubtless, right? So all I could recommend here is that you need to look out, right, for women that are never able to acknowledge that they could be part of any kind of problem, or that they're unable to acknowledge that they could do some things wrong with regards to you, right? So just keep that in mind. If she's unable to accept any responsibility or, you know, culpability when it comes to how you are being treated, then that's someone you want to avoid, right?
Because it's highly probable that you're blind in all sorts of ways. I mean, it's in fact, it's virtually certain. And so it's just more useful to think, how is it that I'm wrong in this situation? I'll tell you something that I learned to do when I...
Well, here's the thing. If you're constantly thinking about how you're wrong in the situation, that's how you become below her, right? If you treat her like a celebrity, she'll treat you like a fan. So no, you can't be doing that, right? You can acknowledge that you could be wrong, but you can't always be the one to back down an argument and admit why you're wrong, unless she also admits that she's wrong. That's fine. Okay. Bait isn't waiting. This is an article by Rolo Tomasi. Okay. I came across another familiar story on the TRP Reddit this week. It's familiar because this story is becoming increasingly more common as hypergamy becomes a more open secret that women can no longer keep under wraps. For the better part of 2014 and in preventative medicine, I explored the social trend of open hypergamy and the impact it's beginning to affect on contemporary culture, which is Western culture. In that exploration, I published Saving the Best, a story which revolved around the increasingly more common post-epiphany phase regrets women have when their party years indiscretions are made evident to the beta men who committed to them in monogamy or marriage. Have a read of Saving the Best before you continue here. You'll see that commonalities immediately. I'm going to dissect this confession a bit as I go, but bear in mind, this woman's predicament is the direct result of the unintentional RP awareness that open hypergamy has brought men to, even uninitiated BP men. Okay, so here's the quote. An update for those asking for it. Here's a link to my original post, although the text has been deleted. Before I get into the details, I'd just like to say I greatly appreciate the support this community extended me. Believe it or not, I read every response. As of this morning, we still hadn't slept in the same bed or spoken more than 10 words to each other in passing. As I was waking up, he was walking to the front door with 2 coffees. He sat me down on a kitchen table and finally opened up to me. Basically, he feels that he was conned into the marriage, saying that he wouldn't have even dated me, let alone married me, if he'd known what he knows now. His view of me has been irreparably changed, and he no longer sees me as someone worthy of being a wife. Beyond the bedroom fun aspect, he says he no longer trusts me because I kept something this big from him our whole relationship. One of the primary disconnects women are conditioned to believe during their epiphany phase is that a good man will be willing to forgive and forget her past indiscretions. On their journey of self-exploration and discovery, women are encouraged to adopt a finely tuned cognitive dissonance with who they conveniently become and what should be the consequences of their past. While men are expected to live up to their responsibilities as men and are expected to own up to the consequences of their failures, at the epiphany phase, women are encouraged to convince themselves that they became someone else, someone who is so different from who she was in her party years. Her husband feels conned because he was conned. Conned after discovering the dual personality of his pre- and post-epiphany phase wife. What we're expected to believe here, courtesy of the social conventions emplaced by the feminine imperative, is that a husband is some prudish, moralistic throwback, unwilling to accept and embrace the real her, the one who is trying to get it right by turning over a new leaf with him. This is the easy, ready-to-use shame that women have available to them. If a man becomes indignant over a woman's bedroom fun past, it translates into his insecurities as a man. His feeling conned over his bait-and-switch marriage is redirected to being his problem. Men aren't off the hook with that convenient convention either. There's a moral high ground many men want to claim and cast the action of a guy in this circumstance as virtuous and a proffer revenge for being misled. While that may feel good, men in this situation aren't disillusioned with their unworthy wives from a moral pretense. Rather, they believe they would be entitled to their wives' bedroom fun best reserved for him. As I quoted in Saving the Best, they marry a garden tool who sleeps with them like a prude. Subjectively, that may or may not be the case, but it's the freedom and genuine desire with which their wives had bedroom fun with prior lovers, desire that wasn't based on material provisioning, emotional investment, or the logistical hoops women expect their good men to perform to in order to merit their bedroom fun and intimate attentions. That's the disconnect. That's the con. Alpha bad boys get a 3-way genuine bedroom fun abandoned with no investment expected, while he's got to maintain multiple businesses in order to get a prosaic bedroom fun experience with her. The bad boys got a bedroom fun best for free, while he's expected to accept her as the new epiphany phase, post-epiphany phase her. Nothing I could do or say could convince him that these were past mistakes and not reflective of who I am today. He wasn't angry with me, Didn't call me a garden tool or anything like that. Never once raised his voice. Part of me wishes he did, although I can't exactly say why right now. I feel like he was being laid off from a job. As I mentioned, the expectation is for a husband to accept who she is today. Yet who she was 10 years ago had a more genuine desire for less established but bedroom fun arousing lovers. I'm going to speculate here, but it's likely that a man who owns multiple businesses spent more of his time diligently, and I presume responsibly, cultivating those enterprises than the men his wife took as lovers 10 years ago. Again, we can see that as a moral virtue on his part. But there's also rude indignation of what a past represents within the context of his responsible past. And like a good business owner, he plays the confrontation calmly and collectedly. The part of her that wishes he'd raised his voice is the same part that got excited by the alpha indifference of her former lovers. So that's it. We're getting divorced. My supposed life partner, that's a red flag, turning his back on me without a second thought. He didn't even have the decency to discuss it with me first. Apparently he visited his lawyer during the week and the process is in motion. Knowing him, there's absolutely no changing his mind. My husband owns multiple businesses and wouldn't get married without a prenup. I signed it honest to God thinking we'd never ever have to use it. Well, he had the document with him this morning. He said he'd pay off the remainder of my student loans, which he isn't legally obligated to do. While I appreciate that, I'm going to meet him with my lawyer this week and see if the agreement can be challenged in court. We have built a life together. I gave him 5 of the best years of my life and I've been 100% faithful. I don't deserve to be tossed out like a piece of trash. So that's it. My life turned upside down in the span of a week over something I did 10 plus years ago before I even knew him. It's asinine. The thing is, even as I wrote the original post, in the back of my mind I knew he was through with me. He's ended friendships and business partnerships over less. Ghost of Epiphany's past. In preventative medicine, I go into a bit of detail about men in this increasingly common circumstance. There is a subconscious expectation on the part of beta men who find themselves at or just past women's epiphany phase that predisposes them to believing that what they've become as a result of the perseverance throughout their 20s has now come to fruition, and the women who ignored them have now matured to a point where he's the attractive one at last. Unless men have a moment of clarity or an RP initiation of their own prior to this, what they don't accept is that this expectation is a calculated conditioning of the feminine imperative to prepare him for a woman like this. Women who can no longer bedroom fun compete for the alpha seed they enjoyed in their party years. The feminine imperative teaches him that he can expect a woman's real bedroom fun best from the real her. Why else would she agree to a lifelong marriage if he weren't the optimal choice to settle down with? Why wouldn't she be even more bedroom fun interested in than the guys in her past? This is the message the feminine imperative used to subtly and indirectly imply to betas in waiting. Now with the comfort of open hypergamy, this message is published in one of the best-selling books by an influential woman, and we're going to go back to the video after this. When looking for a life partner, my advice to women is to date all of them. The bad boys, the cool boys, the commitment-phobic boys, the crazy boys. But do not marry them. The things that make the bad boys attractive in a bedroom fun sense do not make them good husbands. When it comes time to settle down, find someone who wants an equal partner. Someone who thinks women should be smart, opinionated, and ambitious. Someone who values fairness and expects, or even better, wants to do his share in the home. These men exist, and trust me, over time, nothing is more attractive. Alpha seed, beta need. Alright, back to this Jordan Peterson thing.
I was arguing with my wife, which happened quite frequently, because when you actually communicate with people, you find out that there's many things that you don't agree on. And that's because you're actually different creatures. And so if you're actually going to have a truthful conversation, then you're going to find out that you don't see things the same way. And then you can either pretend that that's not the case and gloss over it and then end up in a 30-year silent war, or you can have the damn fight when you need to have it and see if you can straighten it out.
Yeah, this is actually a very important point. If you see bad behavior, you need to call it out and you need to have the fight then. Because if you don't call it out, the behavior actually gets worse. It will not get better. It will not get better unless you call it out. If you're not going to be the man and call out the bad behavior will escalate. And that bad behavior escalating leads to disrespect, which leads to even more disrespect, which leads to even worse outcomes.
So now and then we'd get in a situation where we were at loggerheads, we couldn't move. And, it would spiral up into hate speech, let's say. 'Cause, yeah, Everyone laughs because they know they manifest plenty of hate speech towards those they love. So one of the things we learned to do was, when we hit an impasse, was to separate and to go our own ways and to go sit and think, okay, look, we're at this unpleasant situation. We can't figure out how to move forward. I'd always think, of course it's her fault. Obviously it's her fault. At least 95%. But maybe there was something I did that contributed like 5% to it. And so I would sit and think and ask myself a question, which was, is there anything I did in the last 6 months that increased the probability that this impasse would manifest itself?
Well, here's the problem with this thinking, right? What Jordan is describing is a supplication, right? He's like, this way of thinking comes from the premise of happy wife, happy life, right? Thinking that you can make a woman happy, and if you make her happy that there'll be no problems. Well, no. No matter what you do, they will always cause drama and problems. So trying to make her happy is a fool's errand. So, because trying to make her happy is a fool's errand, what should the goal be? The goal should be respect. She has to know that she cannot control you. She has to know that you're the boss. She has to know that you are the leader. She has to know these things. And she has to respect the leader and his decisions, even if she doesn't agree. That's the point.
And I'll tell you, you have no idea how fast your mind will generate an answer to a question like that. Because there's undoubtedly some idiotic thing that you did, that you know, that you remember, that increased the probability that you're going to have your hands around the throat of the person that you love. And then you can go tell them that. And then you can have a conversation, especially if they do the same thing. Say, look, you know, here's how I'm an idiot in this situation. And the other person says, well, yeah, here's how I'm an idiot. And then you're two idiots, and then maybe you can have a conversation. So
this is an interesting strategy, but again, I don't think that it's a good idea for you as the man to volunteer first your weakness and to come at her with that. And like a dog, you know, exposing its belly, right? And then, like, no. It should be the other way around. She should want to fix it by coming to you, and then when that happens, then you could also acknowledge. You see what I'm saying? So that it's in your frame as opposed to hers. Because if you're constantly supplicating like that, then the polarity that you need to have a good long-term relationship will be destroyed. So this is a bad strategy as well. This won't work. This will destroy you in the long term. You'll have a marriage that's full of disrespect.
Thou hypocrite, first cast out the beam of out of thine own eye, and then shalt thou see clearly to cast out the mote of thy brother's eye. That's, hey, hard to argue with that. And that's something that people also don't understand, because they tend to think that, well, that all romantic interaction should be spontaneous. It's like, well, if that's your theory, then you might as well just give up right now if you're...
So what Jordan here is describing is duty bedroom fun, which women hate. Like, it can be spontaneous, but within a planned window of time. Why not? Like, yeah, that's fine. All right. Okay, here is a Reddit post. Guys, I don't know if this is real or not. It sounds like fiction to me, but it's fun to read, okay? So enjoy this one. This guy's 29 and the girl's 26. I love my girlfriend, but I feel I need to break up because of my insecurities. Okay, I'm not hideous, but I'm a bit on the chubbier side, and I carry a sort of nerdy, clumsy look in general. I work in IT, make a decent salary, and have average social skills, I'd say. My girlfriend, on the other hand, is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. Pedestal. She's very conventionally attractive. She's also currently doing a PhD, has her own business on the side, and is just the life of any room she enters. We met online through a gaming community, and for the first year of talking, I didn't even know what she looked like, and I didn't care. I fell for her personality and intelligence. When I met her in real life, it was like an explosion, like, holy God, I love her so much. I'm not very experienced with relationships, and I did not know it was even possible to love another person that much. Her looks or my insecurities did not matter because everything was just amazing and I couldn't care less about what anyone else was thinking or doing. Also, I would love her even if she looked like a bag of trash. I knew she was perfect way before I saw anything but a meme profile pic. That was 1.5 years ago, and I can no longer handle it. Our relationship itself is going very well, and she's moved to Spain from Norway. I, however, am starting to slip into what I'm pretty sure is depression, connected to my body image and confidence. In the beginning of our relationship, some friends would make jokes about me and her, saying stuff like, she probably thinks you're rich or something. You need to tell her soon that you're not. Back then, it did not matter to me that much. However, I feel like it's gotten worse. The other day, we were visiting my family, and my mother made a joke about children. My brother said in Spanish, which my girlfriend doesn't speak, that my girlfriend would be crazy to have children with someone as ugly as me. It was a joke, but it really affected me. Whenever we're out, guys always come up to her. She always tells them to get lost and tells them she has a boyfriend and is not interested. But I feel very self-conscious knowing that everyone in a restaurant or bar looks at my girlfriend thinking, oh God, what a beautiful woman. Why is she with him? I've always had issues with my looks, and people were quite mean to me in school about it. She also has more money than me and in general just more social, fun and smart. So I feel like I compete against the whole world while having nothing to offer. I also feel weird about talking to my girlfriend about it because she has a lot of issues and problems herself, coming from a A-word relationship in the past, and I want her to see me as strong and able, and right now I feel pathetic. However, after last time a guy approached her and asked for a number, I brought this up with my girlfriend, telling her how shitty it makes me feel, and she assured me that she loves me. She always pretends to not even know what I'm talking about when I say she's out of my league and that people laugh. And that I should focus on what she's doing, choosing me and being with me rather than what other people are doing, which is outside of both mine and her control. She's right, I know that. And to be fair, she's never acted in a way that made me think I can't trust her. She's very affectionate and never looks at other people in that way or entertains their flirting. But it's gotten to the point now where I get a full-blown panic attack whenever we go out to a restaurant. I know everyone there is going to look at her and at me with disgust and confusion, and I honestly can't face it. I'm now thinking if I was an idiot thinking that this relationship was ever going to work. I think the only way I can move forward is to remove myself from the situation, but I don't know how I'm supposed to live without her. I talked to a friend, he basically advised me to break up with her and go to therapy until I'm ready for a relationship again, or end up becoming controlling or A-word just like her ex. The thought scares me more than anything. I don't know what to do. Here's what you do. The reason why you feel this way is because you feel that you're inferior to her. So what you need to do is you need to become competitive. Stop focusing so much on her and focus on you. Make you strong. Make you capable. Make you powerful. Make you successful. And then when you do, you will feel that you deserve a girl like that. Right? Because again, like women, they portray themselves as objects, right? So that's what I'm saying. You need to become more competitive. And you don't have to break it off. Although if you keep feeling this insecurity, she's going to cheat. All right, that's a good top comment. Sounds like you need new friends. Keep your lady and ditch the friends. They don't have your best interest at heart. Okay. 762. Try thinking about it this way. She has all these amazing qualities and she chose you over everyone else. If she's as smart as you say, she probably didn't make a mistake. She knew what she wanted and it was and is you. You definitely have a lot of things going for you, so take pride in these things. As a side note, I'm sure if I saw you guys in public, my thoughts wouldn't be disgust or confusion. I'd probably just think, nice job, dude, and go on with my day. True. That's right. They'd be like, how did he get her? There must be something good about him. That's called social proof, right? Okay, we're going to end the video there. Again, if you're new to the channel, liking the content, hit that sub, hit all for notifications. If you'd like to support me, I do have a Patreon with exclusive content, patreon.com/theheliosblog. Just go there and subscribe. You can also drop me a donation like Tom M here. Shout outs to him. Again, guys, thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to listen to the end of the video. I really do appreciate it. You guys are wonderful. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next time.